Welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that keeps you up to date with players that may link with a summer transfer move to Arsenal. I'm in a hotel room in Sweden at the moment, ahead of the Arsenal game tonight when Arsenal are going to be taking on Lazio. You know what? Let me just drink a bit of this water, man. It was a rough night last night. You know, you've been having a lot of drinks, man. This is the best, right? But listen, let's get into the transfer rumours. Forget about my night last night. The big rumour today is about the Croatian star that I spoke about him yesterday, and that is Damajos Vida. Now, Vida has been linked with a £25 million move to Arsenal. He's a centre-back. He played excellently for Croatia in the World Cup. Really got rave reviews. Currently plays his football for Besiktas in Turkey. 29, so he's no spring chicken, but he'll be a very experienced player. And it's said that Arsenal are very, very interested in signing him. Liverpool have been linked with him before as well in this transfer window. Now, from what I saw of him in the World Cup, he looked like a no-nonsense, solid, experienced centre-back. Just the sort of player that we need right now. And Arsenal apparently could make a move for him before the end of the transfer window. However, a lot of outlets reporting today that in order for them to do so, they're going to have to sell a couple of players. One of the players that's being talked about being sold is Squadra Mustafi. We've discussed it already this week. He's been linked with moves out to Turkey as well. Fenerbahce interested, Galatasaray. So Mustafi could be sold, would raise around about the same amount of money, about 25 million, and then they could try and get Vida to come the other way. Also, Danny Welbeck. Now, Danny Welbeck, lots of reports going around today that he's been told by Unai Emery that he can leave in the next 7 days. He's free to leave. Arsenal not interested in renewing his contract, which only has about a year to run on it. He hasn't figured in any of the pre-season training games. Of course, he was at the World Cup with England, and England got to the semi-final, so he's had an extended break. But he hasn't come back early or anything, and it said that he's not going to be, well, he's definitely not going to be fit until at least the first week or so into the season. Everton have shown an interest in Danny Welbeck already, but will he move or will he stay? Certainly, again, you don't want to have this player going into the last year of his contract. If we're going to ship out Danny Welbeck, it needs to happen now. We need to recoup about as much money as possible as we can for him and, move on to the next person. It's a bit strange that if we are looking to move Welbeck out, why have we waited so long? Why don't we try and shift him out earlier on in the window? Surely his value is starting to drop the longer we leave it. But Danny Welbeck, we're being told, is another player that could be allowed to leave. The only thing that really sort of winds me up about this is that why do we have to allow all these players to leave just to raise money to get Vida at £25 million? I mean, if that's true, I'm not, it's just speculation, but we shouldn't have to be letting players leave in order to raise funds to get a player of £25 million. Listen, to get the next player, right, the amount of money he costs, maybe we'd have to let the whole squad leave, right? And that is Ousmane Dembele, again linked with Arsenal today. You saw yesterday the pictures with him, pictured with Mkhitaryan, with Aubameyang, Guendouzi, Lacazette, and, the rumours have been flying around ever since. There's a few outlets today speculating that he's been talking to Sven Mislintat, and Mislintat is trying to persuade him to make a move over to Arsenal. Again, this one just does not go away. It seemed very unlikely at the start of the window. Still could be pretty unlikely as an out-and-out sale. But as I've said many a times, maybe you could see one of those sort of loan-type deals, what we saw. I mean, we saw a similar thing with Mbappe going to PSG, where they loaned him at first with then the option after that to buy him. Possibly this could be something that Arsenal could try and take up, or possibly just a straight loan for a season. It would be very, very exciting if Arsenal were able to get their hands on Ousmane Dembele. and it would be a major coup and be really exciting to see a player of his calibre come to Arsenal. But 7 days of the window to go, we will find out or whether this one happens or not. But certainly at the moment, it's still causing a lot of excitement amongst the Arsenal fans. Is that misplaced excitement? We will find out. The window, of course, closing on Thursday. One player who's not going to be moving is Alex Iwobi. He signed a brand new contract extension yesterday for Arsenal. Came on the other night and he looked really good in that game against Chelsea. You know, he came on, he was driving at players, he was causing lots of problems. Should probably have scored in the game. Now, new contract for Alex Iwobi. I think he's a very lucky boy. He had a very mixed season last year, but he is a very talented player. Now, if Unai Emery can get the best out of this guy, who knows what he could do. He's quick, he's strong, he drives at players, he's good at carrying the ball. He can play out wide, he can play in the middle. And as I said, he made a big impact when he came off the bench the other day. I think Alex Iwobi is a confidence player. When his confidence is high, he can do really good things. When his confidence is low, he tends to bottle it a bit. He'll get in front of goal in a shooting position and he'll try and pass it off in fear that he could make a mistake. If Unai Emery can kind of get the best out of this guy, you know, it could be very well worth, Iwobi staying. And listen, it's always good to see a player that's come through the ranks still remain at the club. But big season ahead now for Alex Iwobi now that he's nailed down that new contract. There was pretty bad news yesterday, actually, that came out of Arsenal that Kolasinac picked up an injury the other night in that game against Chelsea. And he said that he's going to be out from anything from 2 months to 10 weeks. That's a big blow for Arsenal. Of course, you know, he's played in literally all of the pre-season friendlies. Monreal is only just coming back, even though he didn't really figure for Spain in the World Cup. He hasn't actually played in any of the pre-seasons yet. But it looks now that Monreal will have to go straight in because he's going to be the only fit left back. And should we go out and buy another left back? Is the question I'd like to ask everybody. Of course, we've got Monreal. Kolasinac will come back in 8 to 10 weeks. But in the meantime, what if something happened to Monreal? What happens then? There's effectively no left back at the club. So should we be looking to go out there and buy another left back before the window closes? Or maybe get someone on a loan? Or I don't know. I just really want to put it out there to you guys. And if so, who do you think that left back should be? Would really like to hear from you guys on that. Let's get into some of the comments. OG Hayes says, Gazidis should stay. This last few months, he's proven that he wasn't responsible for the indecisive transfers in the latter Wenger area. And we need someone to ease the transition between Arsene and Emery's policies. Now, of course, I was saying to you guys yesterday that my understanding is that Gazidis is going. That he's going to be joining AC Milan. Still nothing from Arsenal to say that Gazidis is staying. And it looks like, he could be on his way out. Wasn't responsible for the indecisive transfers. In the latter Wenger era. Well, I don't know. You could argue that he was because he's the CEO. He's in charge. So, he's in charge of all transfers. Him and Wenger in all that time. So, I'm sorry. He was responsible for a lot of that. I think he's looked into it and realised that there was lots of mistakes being made in that structure. But he was in charge of that structure during the Wenger times and he backed it to the hilt. So, sorry, he has to take responsibility for it. CD says, now we only have one more leech. That is Kroenke. Let's get the banners out, lad. So he doesn't look like he's too disappointed that Gazidis is going. Funky Monkey 1886 says, it will absolutely never happen. But if Gazidis does one, we should rehire David Dein. That wouldn't be a bad shout. And that would be a very popular, David Dein's still very popular with the Arsenal fans. Has his time passed, though? Is time passed on from David Dein? Certainly, the thing that we've got in place now, we've got in place good negotiators in Sven Mislintat, Sanelli. There's a good system there for recruiting players. So And that's what David Dein was good at. So, I don't know. Let's see what happens. Cass Lenore says, Arsenal need another top-class centre-back. You can't rely on Mustafi and a declined Koscielny if you want to compete. And that's what I'm saying. For me, if we got Vida, it should be Vida in with all these guys. Not, we got to sell this and sell that to try and get Vida. And Warlock says, don't underestimate the power of friendship in football. We got Mickey, and never in a million years did I expect to get Aubameyang. I wouldn't write off a loan deal or not. And he's talking about Ousmane Dembele, and he makes a very good point, Warlock. Friendship goes a long way. When Dembele was at that party the other day with Aubameyang and Mkhitaryan, Guendouzi, Lacazette, don't think that at some stage that night, or even when they're talking, he's not asking them, what's it like at Arsenal now? What's it like? If I did happen to come, what is it like there? And if those guys are all there sitting, listen, man, it's really good here, man. It's exciting. New managers doing good things, a great training ground. And you know what? If you come over, we're here. Your mates are here. So you can settle in. It can be very compelling for a player. It can influence a player a lot. You're not going to be going to a club where you don't know anybody. You're going to be going to a club where, there's 4 or 5 of your friends. He knows Mislintat as well from his time at Dortmund. Listen, the transition for him wouldn't be bad. And he could be weighing it up and saying, do I stay at Barcelona? Malcolm's coming now. I was a bit part last year. I might not play it. Or shall I go spend a year, 2 years on loan at Arsenal, see if I can improve my game, maybe go back to Barcelona. Who knows what his thinking is, but the power of friendship, like Warlock says, can be very powerful. Listen, thanks for watching the show today. Don't forget, we're going to be at the game today. Arsenal taking on Lazio over here in Stockholm in Sweden. I'm looking forward to meeting a load of Swedish Gooners later. I met a load last night on my night out here. And they were all very enthused, actually, about Arsenal so far this season, in the pre-season. So looking forward to that game tonight. And don't forget, we'll be back tomorrow.